But here's the issue, okay? And I've been talking about this for a while now, okay? And kind of warning people about this whole situation in regards to Lucid. Here's the deal. Look at Lucid's starting prices, $87,000. That's a starting price, okay? $107,000, $138,000, $249,000, okay? They're trying to sell to wealthy folks. Let's call it what it is, okay? I mean, basically, you're looking at $100,000 plus, 6 figures plus for one of their vehicles. So you're trying to sell to the top, I don't know, 5 or 10% of income earners out there, right? Now, when you're selling to wealthy folks, you better have the product and the brand that resonates with wealthy folks, okay? You have to have that. Like why do wealthy people buy Louis Vuitton or, I don't know, Dior or whatever the high-end brands are? It's because they view those brands in a prestigious way, right? And so they don't mind spending $3,000 on a bag or $5,000 on a bag or whatever, right? But Lucid hasn't done that with their brand, to be quite frank. And if you're thinking about Elon Musk and Tesla versus this Lucid company, the issue is, at the end of the day, they're competing directly with this car right here, okay? This is what you have to compete with. A car that gets nearly 400 miles of range, that goes 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds, which makes it arguably the fastest car in the world, 0 to 60, that's street legal, right? A car that has 200 miles per hour top speed, 1,000 horsepower, more tech than you could ever imagine what to even do with, and a brand that is far more prestigious than Lucid, a brand that hardly anybody even knows about and anybody resonates with. And you ask anybody, like, what would they rather have, a Lucid or a Tesla? They're going to say Tesla without question, okay? I live, obviously, in very wealthy areas. Guess what? People got a lot of Model S's here. You know how many Lucids are in my neighborhood? One Lucid. Okay, and I bet you that person wished they bought a Model S Plaid, okay? At the end of the day, like, no one wants to get that car versus a Model S, okay? Unless you just really want to be different that bad, okay? At the end of the day, if you have to pick out of those two, you're going with the Model S, bottom line. And so Lucid has to compete against the behemoth that is Tesla, and that's just, it's an impossible challenge, okay? And never mind that, you tack on the financials that are a dumpster fire with this company, and there's no promise of like anything bigger. If you understand Tesla's game plan, Elon Musk's game plan with Tesla, it was always about selling high-end vehicles, right? And then scaling to vehicles that they could get into more and more mass production, right? Until they eventually sell in millions and millions and millions of vehicles a year, which is they've executed exactly how they wanted to execute, and it's going to perfection. Let's just call it that, okay? And so there's always something bigger. With Lucid, they're trying to just be, I don't know, a Mercedes, or I don't know, a BMW, or I don't know what, okay, of EVs. But why is somebody going to pay $100-something thousand? You got to understand, when you spend that sort of money, you have so many options. At that price point, get a Model S Plaid. It's going to be way better product. Or if you want to get an internal combustion engine, there's far better options out there for $100,000+ than getting one of those Lucids, in my opinion, and taking a risk on a brand that, I don't know, like there's some new company trying to make it, and I don't know, they don't really have anything cool about them. They don't. They literally don't have anything cool about them. They don't have the most tech. They're not going to be the fastest. And they don't have somebody behind the company that's super cool. They don't have an Elon Musk, right? So when you look at it from all those different standpoints, that makes it really, really difficult for a company like Lucid. Now, what I'll say is, if you're really in the mode of like, I've got to find something else to invest in the EV space outside of Tesla, okay? Here's what I'll say. I mean, if I had to be forced to do something else, I would go Rivian, okay? And why Rivian? So Rivian has the backing of Amazon One, right? They obviously have the massive amount of orders that obviously Amazon's put in over time. Their pickup truck seems somewhat successful. I see a decent amount of Rivians driving around my area, okay? Not a ton, but I'll see maybe 1 or 2 a week driving around in my area, and they're pretty noticeable because their front headlights are like pretty much something, so much different than anybody else. Their SUV looks very like a very solid SUV. Like if let's say that the Model X didn't exist. I have a Model X too. If the Model X didn't exist, the thing I would get for my family personally is the Rivian SUV. That's what I would get, okay? And so for that standpoint, I think that's pretty attractive. It's big, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if someday I might own a Rivian because they are big, they are spacious, and it seems like more spacious than like a Model X. So, as my kids get older, maybe someday I own a Rivian. So I think between the Amazon backing, what I've seen for products from Rivian, kind of them ramping up here, I think Rivian has a real chance to be a good company long term. It's just a question of like, is it worth $13 billion, right? So Palantir, unlike the shorts and the naysayers are saying, oh, it's going to lose its gains today or something like that, never lost its gains. Absolutely had an incredible day. Stock finished up almost 25%. Okay. Now, the thing I think is important for me to remind the Palantir bulls out there is this is just the start. Okay, this is just the start of this move in regards to stock price. And the reason I think this is important is, you see the stock move up 20%, 30%. I don't think momentum is going to stop in Palantir. It doesn't mean every day or every week the stock's going to go up. But I think continued money and momentum will continue to come into the stock, honestly, for the next year. Okay, and that's regardless of market conditions, And the main reason being is it looks like Palantir is on track to hopefully eventually get an S&P 500 at the beginning of 2024. As long as they continue to put up profitable quarters. If they have one quarter that's not profitable, that could mess up everything in a major, major way, okay? But as long as they continue to put up these profitable quarters, which the company said they expect to do, the company should get S&P 500 inclusion at likely, I would say, in terms of it actually getting in, it would probably be very early in 2024, in my opinion, okay? So obviously, if you continue to see them put up profitable quarters, continue to come in with nice numbers, the stock's just going to continue to attract more and more money, because once you get an S&P 500, you're going to eventually see, massive funds have to buy the stock. And there's a ton of people that obviously buy these companies ahead of time, knowing they're going to get an S&P 500, okay? And now, the very important thing, okay, very important I say this, for everybody that is interested in the stock and those sorts of things, okay, is I have seen something play out in front of me that was absolutely brutal to watch play out, okay? And what this was is when Tesla started going on its first run and it went up 20, 30, 40%, I watched a massive amount of Tesla bulls who had been in the stock for a year, 2 years, and didn't have any gains, finally make 20%, 30%, 40% on their shares, and they sold, okay? And they sold because they had been holding it for 1, 2, 3 years. They hadn't been making any money. And to finally make 20, 30%, 40%, they were so excited about that. And they thought that was as good as it got. Okay, and they missed the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of percent gain in a stock like Tesla. Okay, and I see the same exact phenomenon will happen with Palantir, where you're going to have certain folks that have been in the stock for 1 to 2 years, and as soon as they get some gains here, they're going to end up cashing out shares, and they're going to miss the hundreds of percent gains, and they're going to chase what I like to call the breadcrumbs money rather than chasing the loaf of bread, okay? When you have companies that have best-of-breed products with game-changing management teams and employee forces, which is exactly what Palantir has, okay? You let those babies go on their run. You throw them in the filing cabinet, okay? You don't have to look at your trading account every day. You don't have to pull up your portfolio every day. Like, let it be. Let it be what it's going to be, okay? You're going to have fluctuations in the market, the stocks. Don't get all caught up into that crap, okay? Just remember the long-term focus. Remember where that company's revenues are trending over the coming years. Remember how great its products are. Remember where its net income is going over the coming years, okay? Think about those sorts of things. You don't have to cash out profits in great companies in a very short amount of time. Otherwise, you're just going to be the guy that looks back with regrets and like, I saw it coming, but, I chose to cash out of that stock and take a little, breadcrumb money rather than chasing that loaf of bread, okay? So I think that's very important. I let everybody know that, okay?